Hello, friends, and welcome back to our homestead. These are probably my final days on the porch. It's getting cooler, it's getting windier, it's getting rainier here in New England, and it's time for me to move indoors pretty soon. But I'm not finished at harvesting and preserving herbs. I love rosemary. This is rosemary, regular old school rosemary. I've seen rosemary growing in Italy right on the side of the road in people's front yards, right outside. And here in New England, we don't have that luxury. We have to grow them in very large pots or in a vegetable bed that is very well drained. It's a very finicky herb. It doesn't like to grow here very well. Every time when I try to bring my plant in a house for the winter, I tend to kill it. And either I overwater it, or I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but usually it does not survive. A couple of years it did survive and I was super grateful. But I start again in the spring and I grow in a large pot outside. I trim it as I go all season long. I cook with it, I make tea with it, but I also know that I need to store up for the winter months. I love my rosemary tea. It's not very strong, especially because it was made with fresh rosemary. It's very easy to make this tea. All you need to do is just put a fresh sprig in the boiling water, or a teaspoon of dried. And the dried rosemary will give you a little stronger color. This is very pale color, but let me tell you, it's very aromatic. Oh, it's fantastic. It's not strong at all. It does not taste like rosemary like you think. Even though I love to put rosemary when I cook any of my Mediterranean dishes, when I cook lamb, pork, I always use rosemary. Chicken, it's fantastic. All right, so today I would like to share with you 5 very easy ways of bringing rosemary into your life. Rosemary is fantastic, like I mentioned, not just in the kitchen, even though it's great. We should be using fresh rosemary, dried rosemary in our dishes as much as we can. In a stuffing, in our bread recipes, when we cook chicken, any other proteins, it's really, really great way to bring herb into your life. But also we can put it in our floral arrangements. That's right. So here I have a few of my last flowers from the garden. And guess what? I can take a rosemary just like this, especially if I'm using, the leaves or the needles, whatever you want to call them, for cooking, but this woody part is left over. Well, we don't have to waste it. We can put it right into the floral arrangement just like this. And we can add a few, make it nice and pretty. But guess what? It adds a natural aroma to the house. The bugs don't like rosemary, so it deters pests, but it's really good for as far as the aromatherapy. So, and that's exactly what we can do. Just strip what you're going to be using for cooking, but this part, don't throw it away. Stick it right here. So one of them we can use in cooking, 2 we can use in floral arrangements, okay? And bring that beautiful, beautiful, wonderful medicinal aroma to our house or for your dining room table, right? That's one of the ways. Also, we can use it as an essential oil in a diffuser, okay? To diffuse in the house, or we can even put on a little cotton cloth, put few drops and keep it in your closet. Keep it in your closet because again, that deters bugs and therefore moths and whatever bugs to protect your wool sweaters and other wonderful old-fashioned clothing that we may have, okay? So putting essential oil is very, very useful as well. Or we can take dried needles, put them in a small pouch of some sort, cotton pouch, and put them in your laundry closet where you keep your towels or where you keep your bed sheets. Also, it's going to bring a really nice aroma and deter bugs. Okay, so again, in cooking, in deterring bugs, that's a great way to bring them and put them for diffusing as a diffuser to bring aroma to the room because it's medicinal, and I'm going to talk about it. Okay, but you know that I love herbs for medicinal reason. And I'm all out of rosemary, completely out. I need to replenish it. So I'm going to prepare rosemary to store away in two ways. One of them is going to be dehydrating it, okay? And I'm going to dehydrate it on my dehydrating trays that I'm going to put into my dehydrating machine. And I can put just the needles like this, okay? And I think that's exactly what I'm going to be doing, where I'm going to just stripping them like this, okay? The soft parts at the top I can save, but the woody parts are not very, they don't blend very well. So all I'm going to do is just I'm going to remove this and put this on the dehydrating tray just like this until it's all filled up, and then I'm going to put in dehydrator trays. Now, is it possible to dehydrate this without a dehydrator? Yes, of course. It's just going to take a little while. Why? Because they are fluid filled, very moist kind of plant, okay, very fresh. It's going to take a while. So you really need a very well ventilated room, okay? And far away from the sun, because the sun is going to break it down. Unfortunately, we live in a very humid environment in New England, and it takes a while for me to dehydrate it. And in the past, they have gone moldy, so I no longer use that method where you make a little bunch. Yes, you can. You can make a little bunch, really pretty bunch. Use a kitchen twine just like this, okay? Make a little bunch and hang it somewhere where it's really good airflow, away from the sunlight, and you can dehydrate it that way. But for me, it's been a little unsuccessful. The only time it was very successful is when I hung it near my wood stove. That's the only time that it worked for me. All the other times, I tend to not dry things as well. This is why I rely on my big dehydrator, okay? So rosemary has a Latin name, even though everyone knows rosemary and you can't really mistake it for anything else. But rosemary has a Latin name, Rosmarinus officinalis, and it is also in the mint family. And in the mint family, and like I said, it can be used in so many wonderful ways, including the medicinal ways. So I just don't like to waste time. As I am preparing my dehydrating trays, and I'm going to show you another way I like to store away and prepare medicine. But I would like to share with you, as I'm working, I would like to share with you how this is actually medicinal. Well, one of them is medicinal, is by aromatic, okay? It is very aromatic herb. As a matter of fact, there's some people who absolutely hate the smell of rosemary because it's so strong, but not me. I absolutely love it. As a matter of fact, when I'm in a grocery store and if they sell them in pots, I will walk by on purpose and just slightly touch it so I can release a little bit and then make my hands smell, but because they release that oil on my hands. So it works on the immune system. It is a strong immune modulator herb and antioxidant as well. So it loves to do the cleanup, the mopping up of free radicals when we're exposed to infections, to viruses, and also it helps to clean up anything that we have in our system. But a wonderful thing about rosemary that a lot of people don't realize is that it actually a pain relieving anti-inflammatory medication. It has a COX-2 property. So there's an enzyme, one is COX-1 and the other one is COX-2. So COX-1 is the one that protects the lining of the stomach, of the gastric lining, but COX-2 is the anti-inflammatory. So many medications are being prescribed to people as an anti-inflammatory medication that has so many side effects, but we forget about a natural God-given anti-inflammatory medication, and that is rosemary. I absolutely love rosemary. So it also is often used in support for cardiovascular circulatory system. Okay, it's a great herb. Also, there's so many alsos in my video today, but also it is often used as a cognitive enhancement herb. And that is exactly what I wanted to mention to you. So I went online and started doing some research, and I found some very interesting literature. There's so much out there right now that talks about supportive herbs for Alzheimer's, for memory. So rosemary shows promise for Alzheimer's treatment. And even though historically speaking, there has been already talk among the herbalists and old school healers that rosemary is the memory herb. But now science is finally catching up. So I went online and I just typed in what I'm looking for, and I was so happy to find that research is indeed saying that rosemary is a wonderful herb for dementia, for memory, for concentration, for anxiety. So when I used to teach in college as a nursing professor, I had students who would be using a little bit of rosemary essential oil, just sort of help them to stimulate their memory as they were studying and as they were going in for an exam. So I think it's a great way to utilize nature, God-given herbs to help us. All right, so I think this tray is coming. Well, I have a few more spots left here. Let me fill it all up. Many people ask me why I prefer to make my own tea rather than a tea bag. A tea bag is convenient when it's a quick on the go, but when you're at home and you have an extra minute, use homegrown herbs or self-sourced herbs, loose herbs. Those are better, even if you use them in a combination. And the simple reason is because very often we really don't know how long those herbs have been in the tea bag. We don't know when it was harvested, when it was processed. So for all we know, it's very, very old, dried, crumbled herb. Okay, that is one of the simple reasons why I don't like it. Plus, sometimes the tea bag, the materials they use for tea bag are not exactly toxin free. So that's the only thing. So how do I make tea? Well, I like to use fresh boiling water. I either use a strainer that I fill up with my dried herb, about a teaspoon or a little bit more. Then I always cover with boiling water, and I cover with a saucer on top because that helps to trap all the heat inside and not evaporate anything. And then I also like to throw in a towel because the towel also keeps that fluid warm, because I like to infuse my tea for at least 15 minutes, and that allows slowly to cool down a little bit, and then I can add a little honey to it if I want to. Okay, and that's how I like to make my tea. Okay, so dried herb is going to go very well in the winter months for me to make my tea or to use it in for cooking. But I also like to make tinctures because rosemary also has not just water soluble properties. Okay, this is the weakest way of getting my medicine. I like to get it in a tincture, and you know me that I like to use 100 proof vodka. Okay, 100 proof vodka has 50% alcohol and 50% water. So therefore, it's very easy for me to do the math. And I've been receiving many messages, people asking me, Lilia, why don't you just use the scale? Why don't you just use the scale when you're making your tinctures? And today I will be using the scale, okay? It's not difficult, it's super easy. So when we're using fresh plant material, okay, we have to use 1-to-2 ratio in by weight, meaning that if you're gonna go in grams, go with grams. If you want to do ounces, go with ounces, doesn't matter. So for example, if I use 1 gram of my plant, that means I have to use 2 grams of alcohol, 1-to-2. Okay, so that's how we're gonna do it. So, and what I like to do is I like to take my fresh plant material, in this case is rosemary, and I just take scissors and I just roughly chop them, okay, and I fill up my container. I have to keep in mind that since it's 1-to-2, okay, there's going to be 1 part of rosemary and 2 parts will be vodka. Is it possible to make a tincture using other liquid other than vodka? Yes, of course, you can use vinegars, but I'm just going to tell you that it's going to be very different. The tincture will be very, very different, okay? It's not going to be as strong, and it's not going to last as long as vodka-based one, okay? So just keep that in mind. So all I'm doing is just chopping it, roughly chopping it, because the more I chop, the more surface area is exposed, and easier will be for the alcohol and the water that's in alcohol to pull out the medicinal properties from this herb, okay? So I think I'm gonna put maybe about 50 grams. We'll see. I'm doing in grams, but we'll see how much fits in here. Okay. Always make sure everything is zeroed out when you're working. We'll see how much fits in here. So just to review real quick again what rosemary is useful for. Yes, it is useful as aromatic herb. It stimulates memory. It helps with relaxation, but also it's a stimulant. It will stimulate and wake you up a little bit better than caffeine. Isn't that something? So rosemary is better at doing a job as a stimulant than caffeine. All right, so let me just keep chopping. Maybe I should have not used this very woody piece. My scissors don't want to grab it. So I think I might go with just 30 grams. This is a small jar, and not much is going to fit in here. All right, so let's just get about 30 in here. Also, I was reading somewhere, can't remember where, but rosemary is wonderful as a digestive aid. I'm almost 30. So after eating a fatty meal, oh yeah, I have 30. Okay. So now I have to double the amount. So I'm going to zero this. And now I have to put in 60 of alcohol. Okay, there you go. So let's put a cover on. Let's shake it. Okay, so the tincture is ready to go. Okay, I need to push all this down, making sure that it's all under the liquid. And of course, we have to label this. I forgot to mention that after it sits in this jar for 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, I usually do 8 weeks, I will strain it through a cheesecloth or through a press, and I'm going to store it in a glass amber bottle just like this, and it's going to be used in drops because yes, rosemary tincture, any tincture is really used in drops, okay? So when I put down on my label, I always say when I made it and when it's ready for straining, okay? So it's roughly about 2 months, 8 weeks. So that's what I do. So every day for the first week, I'm gonna shake it just like this. I wanna make sure that everything is distributed nicely, okay? But then after that, I will put it in a dark amber, excuse me, I'll put it in a dark closet and I will shake it once or twice a week. That's all. In the meantime, I have to put a label on it and it has to go in my pantry closet. Okay, friends, so rosemary. Rosemary is a wonderful herb, not just in the cooking, even though cooking is great as well. As far as safety, generally it's a safe herb, and especially if we're using in small amounts. But they also some precautions. For example, if you're pregnant or if you're breastfeeding, perhaps you should talk to your doctor. Or if people who have epilepsy or who taking certain medications, especially blood pressure medications, that can interfere with your blood pressure medication ACE inhibitor. So I always say, so everything that I discuss here is not a medical, advice or diagnosis or treatment or whatnot. You still should be doing your own research. You should be talking to your doctor. So don't take my word for it. You should do further investigation. But as far as me, I want to use rosemary tincture, okay? Small amounts, probably a couple of drops once or twice or even 3 times a day, because it can help with pain, it can help with memory boosting, it can help with so many things. And then we can make tea, especially once it's dried up. I will make sure that it's nice and dry. I will put it in a glass jar. I will label it, store it away in a dark, cool place away from the sunlight, take out as much as I need to, and make myself a cup of tea. Trust me, it does not taste like tomato sauce. No, not at all. It's very lovely. It has natural, robust aroma, but I added a little bit of honey, so it's nice and sweet as well. So, on this note, friends, I hope you are looking into rosemary. I know I'm going to get a question. And the question will be, what if I can't grow it myself? I'm not successful. You know what? It's okay. Rosemary is finicky. You can purchase it at the store as long as it's organic. Why not? You utilize your resources wherever you can find them. Okay. You can even buy them already dried online. So, on this note, friends, I hope you are encouraged to look into rosemary. Rosemary is a wonderful herb. Okay. We're dealing with dementia, with Alzheimer's. Rosemary is a potential aid to fight against that. Okay. And yes, it can even help to prevent it. So I'm going to be doing this as a preventative measure. On this note, friends, I hope you are encouraged and try something new.